Well, thanks everybody for coming out today, and we've been around the state. We started over in Stillwater, and we're in Manford right now, and I've got the leadership of the state with me that have kind of been touring the damage. But first off, I want to thank the media for the evacuation notices. Our alert system worked better than it ever has to let people know and have plenty of warnings still on their phones. And so the thing that struck me is you know, unlike tornadoes, everybody got evacuated, and so we don't have any reports of any fatalities from homes. But the damage is unbelievable. I think there was one fatality from an accident in a vehicle driving into smoke of some kind. But what we know right now is there's about 170,000 acres that were burned, and forestry is up flying right now to kind of get the exact number. Last night I had a report of about 293 homes / structures that were destroyed. And Stillwater, it's just amazing kind of walking through those neighborhoods and talking to the families, and it's you know, it's just amazing. You'll have 4 houses in a row burn, and it'll skip 2 and then another 4 and then back behind them, and then here in Manford got hit pretty hard as well. So right now, currently, there's 14,000 power outages, but really the evacuations were just great. I talked to all these families, and they were able to get out. And the thing that breaks your heart is some of the folks that were renters, and they lost everything, and they didn't have any kind of renter insurance. So we have the Red Cross, and we have the different facilities and different nonprofits that are set up to help them with really. They just have the clothes on their back right now. And so Oklahoma Standard will step up, and just neighbors are going to help neighbors like we always do. We've got, as far as the ongoing risk of fire throughout the state, I met with the meteorologist last night, and it was just a perfect storm. It was the humidity levels went down to kind of record lows, below 10%, and then with the winds where they were, it just dried everything out. And so we should have a couple good days in a row here to get all the fires out, because there's a little bit of risk coming back in maybe Monday or Tuesday. So we've got some crews coming in from Louisiana, Arkansas, to really help us stamp out the fires over the weekend. But we'll have some other updates from our emergency management folks, and we'll help these guys rebuild. And on a personal level, I lost where I have a little farm north of Luther. I lost my home at my farmhouse. So it's really, this kind of stuff hits close to home. When those fires come through, there's just not a lot that you can do. So with that, I'll just open it up to questions we've got the mayor, we've got the fire chief, I think, we've got Secretary of Ag, we've got the Speaker of the House, we've got the Lieutenant Governor with us, and then when I was in Stillwater, we had our our senators there as well.
Governor, have you considered asking power companies in the future to maybe look at cutoffs ahead of situations like this?
You know, yes, and they did de-energize some lines, and so we're still trying to track down how do these fires start. We think there were some controlled burns that was happening a few days before, and some things got out of control. We think some of the power lines contributed to this. Also, some controlled burns underneath right-of-ways, underneath those lines. We need to look at that as a state as well. Other states will do that. You know, when you have conservation and you have controlled burns, that really helps with out-of-control fires like this. So that's something that I personally want to look at. PSO, I think in OG&E, we have about 14,000 people without electricity right now, so they're working like crazy to get that up.
What's the state of emergency mean to the people affected?
So I'll let Annie kind of talk to you about the state of the emergency, but basically what that means is that's a federal requirement that we have to do to tap into some of the federal resources. I was also on the phone with Secretary Kristi Noem earlier today. She was actually in the air on Coast Guard 1. I said, "Are you on Air Force 1?" And she was like, "No, I'm on Coast Guard 1." So, but she's a good friend, and she just was reaching out to make sure that she knew that she's here to support Oklahoma. So whatever we need, and so part of that declaration will help Annie start gathering the numbers, and she'll set up websites where people can report the damage, and she can get that up for federal assistance.
Is there any more that the state could have done ahead of these anticipated wildfires while they were anticipated to prevent them?
You know, I mean, great question. And there's not when you have a perfect storm like this with the humidity and these high winds, you know, we've heard, I mean, that's my question, just like every Oklahoman, man, how do these start? What's happening? And we knew there were a few controlled burns from ranchers the day or two before, that it's just hard to prevent that. And then we had a case of a couple guys out welding and doing work on their farms, and you know, I think we'll do some post-mortem look at what we can do, and part of that would be let's really do some controlled burns earlier, maybe in the season, and get rid of some of the underbrush or when the timing's right, to make sure we don't have the transmission line starting things up. And then we can also think about de-energizing at certain levels of wind speeds.
Do you think that could be addressed through the legislature?
I think so. We've got the speaker here, but I can assure you that OG&E and our partners, they want to provide power to our homes, and they're trying to keep people safe. So they're looking at their grid as well, and that's also part of the need to continue to upgrade and continue to have you know, the right infrastructure in the state. So Oklahomans will continue to do that as well.
Was there a reason that the National Guard was not activated to help with these evacuations last night?
You know, there's no real reason except we weren't really requested. So the local sheriffs, municipalities, fire departments, also the alerts. The alerts came right to the phones, and so I was really quizzing our team last night at the Emergency Command Center, making sure. But within 10 minutes, we do that quicker than any other state. When the locals say, "Hey, we're seeing smoke," and when our meteorologists are predicting things, we're sending that directly out to people's phones. But also, just to brag on Channel 6, one of the families I stopped and talked to, I said, "Did you get a notice on your phone, or did the police?" And she said, "Channel 6 said we're watching that." So really the importance of what you guys do, letting people know when to evacuate, is really helpful. And then let me let Annie kind of give you an update from emergency management and what she does when she talks to the feds, and then we'll let some of the other local folks answer some questions. Annie?
Good morning, everyone. We worked diligently beginning actually last Friday with the Oklahoma Forest Service to start preparing for this event. We, as of this morning, have reports of over 200 homes lost. And I will tell you, related to the state's readiness, every firefighter in this state, every resource that was out there. Task forces stayed very close to home last night because the risk was absolutely statewide. Once the risk did subside in other areas, we were able to get some task forces out and up. The damages that are out there are still ongoing. We still have teams out there doing search and rescue. We still have fires smoldering across the state. And we did submit and get approved 8 fire management assistance grants last night from the Federal Emergency Management Agency. What that allows for is any of these response costs that the state governments, local governments, fire departments incurred last night in just putting everything together to try to put these fires out will be reimbursable. We also are getting nearer to a threshold where we find we might be closer to being able to bring FEMA in for some assistance. It takes about 400 destroyed or major impacted structures statewide that are uninsured for FEMA to come in and provide assistance. And I want to remind everybody that that assistance level that they do provide is pretty limited. It's about $5,000 on average in Oklahoma. So what we really want to encourage everyone to do, if you have insurance and you have questions about your insurance, we hope to connect you with our State Insurance Commission office. We want to prevent fraud in these cases, as always in disasters. We will have FEMA on the ground beginning probably Monday or Tuesday. We're working on getting 3 teams into the state to go out and assess those damages, along with the Small Business Administration. If FEMA is not approved, if we don't have enough damage to make the request, the Small Business Administration takes 25 structures, major or destroyed, which is a lot more reasonable. We can almost assure you that we are at that level, and they can provide low interest loans to those that have lost everything, and it is absolutely a better financial opportunity to have long-term recovery. In the meantime, we've been working with the governor's office of faith-based initiatives, which has been wonderful to try to get some resources in here from nonprofit entities, and we plan to set something up this week here, at least in Manford, and beginning to look in other areas throughout the week where those that have been impacted can go and find whatever resources they need. We're here to support. We try to communicate as best as we can, and we're going to be here as long as the community needs us to be here. So thank you.
Anybody else got anything? Any other questions? Yeah, Mayor, please.
Good afternoon. It's been a rough night, I can assure you of that. I want to thank the governor for being here. I want to thank the vice governor for being here, and also our representative speaker, Kyle Hilbert. So many others to thank. We got a lot of help last night. We got help from Sand Springs, Bixby, had a task force team come in from Rogers County. It got here kind of late, but they really helped us out a lot. Had a lot of small community firefighters here also. But as Amy was saying, there were so many fires going on everywhere. What we usually rely upon as municipal aid wasn't available last night. So it's kind of to each his own. And I know there are a lot of people around the state suffering right now. But appreciate you being here, Governor. Appreciate the support that we're getting. We're setting up some food areas at the Phelps IGA store. There have been several vendors that have donated food and their time, and we appreciate that. I just want to say quickly that Manford's a strong town. It's a tight-knit community, and this town will survive this. The community will come together as we always do, and we'll get through this. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
There's going to be people that want to help. What's the best way anyone maybe living around Manford can get involved?
Annie?
If you want to get involved, I would encourage you to reach out to our office directly. You can visit our website at oem.ok.gov. Also here locally, they do have a local emergency manager, and that goes statewide. If you're eager to help, please contact your local emergency manager and they can connect you in. Please do not self-deploy to these areas. They are still, as we mentioned, smoldering and a little bit dangerous. We will issue calls for help as they arise.
Governor, have you considered issuing a further burn ban or any other special declaration?
You know, we've got an emergency declaration in place, and then as the meteorologist and our team lets us know what we need to say on the burn ban, yeah, we'll quickly do that kind of thing. And really, it's just Oklahomans have to be really, really careful when they're burning ranch land and pasture land, and you've got to contact your locals. But also, every county commissioner can look at that, and they can do that as they need to, county by county as well. So. Thanks, everybody.